In general, there are no absolute rules for crafting the perfect prompt. This is because numerous variables come into play, such as the type of language being used, the specific goal of the application, the underlying infrastructure supporting it. However, certain guiding principles have consistently shown to improve the quality and effectiveness of the prompts. Now let's explore some of these principles here. You have to give the clear instructions. The first and the most fundamental principle is to provide clear and precise instructions. This ensures that the model receives adequate guidance to perform the task accurately and efficiently. A well-structured prompt should include four key elements: goal or objective. Now, clearly, you need to define what you want the model to do. For example, like write a poem or summarize an article. It also needs to have format or structure. Specify the expected format of the response. For instance, use 4 lines with rhyming words, or use bullet points with no more than 10 words each. You need to define format and structure. And it also needs to have constraints or limitations. Set boundaries for the task. Examples include, but not limited to, like do not use profanity or do not copy any text from the source. It also needs to have context or background. Like provide necessary background information. For example, the poem is about autumn, or poem is about summer, or the article is from scientific journal, like this. So you need to define this for mainly, but not limited to, clear instruction. Now let's define some example scenario. Suppose we want to model to extract any kind of instructions from a given text and convert them into step-by-step tutorial using bullet points. Additionally, if no instructions are present, the model should explicitly state that no actionable steps could be identified. Here's how this process can effectively structured. First, we need to define the objective. Now, the model's goal is to analyze the text and extract instructions. We will specify the output format. The output should be in a structured, easy to read bullet list. We need to include the constraints. The model should avoid generating additional content beyond the provided instructions. And we also need to clarify or provide the context, like clarify the domain or the subject of the instructions to ensure relevance and accuracy. And to implement these principles in practice, we need to initialize our model. Now, for this purpose, we will use OpenAI's GPT for our model. Now, to begin, we must initialize and install the OpenAI library, and this can be done using pip install OpenAI. And as basic as that, it is installed. It will take just seconds to install it. And with this command also, we are using the latest available version that ensures optimal performance and compatibility. And now we need to set up the API key. Now, to initialize our model, we need to provide an API key while storing it securely. Recommended. Now here, how we can do that? Import OpenAI. Here we are importing OpenAI library for interacting with models. And here we will API key. We will paste our API key here. So this is not a recommended way for production use, but we will do that for the testing purposes. You need to use this, save the API key or in system environment or just general user environment, so nobody can steal your keys. And after that, we will need to validate API key. So if not API key, raise value error. And let's print it like API key not found, not found. And that's it. And if there's no error, we will print that telling the user API key is set. So as I said, hard coding API keys in a script is not a secure practice and should be avoided in production environments, but since this is not a production environment, we will hard code it. But in later lectures, you will also learn how to save it in environment like set API OpenAI. Yeah, basically it works like this, like this. Set OpenAI API key, and here you are pasting your key, and after that with load environment you are getting the keys. This is very basic and easy thing to do, which we will do in next lecture. But now let's get our API key from OpenAI. So you may ask, how to obtain an OpenAI API key? To use OpenAI's API, obviously you need an API key here. Now, first we will need to create an OpenAI account. So we will pass this step. Since that's very easy, you just log in and that's it. And here we will need to access the platform.openai.com. Oops, no, just .com to show you more accurately. And here at the left, we will have the text and prompting, personal default project. Yeah, here dashboard, we'll go to dashboard, traces assistance. Here you can see the assistance found, APIs. We will also do the fine-tuning part here, the storage, the usage will show you how many tokens you've sent. So this is the cheapest thing ever. That it may also come to free, but after so many usages, like 2 usages, it did not take any money from my account. So you can pay with PayPal or something, it will cost you almost nothing. And here you can see my API key here. Let's actually delete this, revoke the key. If someone's seeing your key, just revoke it. And test 1, let's name it test 1, default project, and create API key. And this is our API key, starting from S key proj. Now we will here save this, and that's it. This is our API key, and now we will paste it here inside this variable. That's it. And securely store your API key. Do not share your API key publicly or include it in this source code like we did here. So store it in a secure location, such as the password manager or a secure environment variable. And once you have copied your API key, use it in your script as shown here. Make sure to handle it securely in a production environment by using environment variables as I showed you here. Or you can also use secret management tools, which will be covered in lecture. Now, by following the steps, you ensure that your API key is securely obtained and managed, preventing unauthorized access to your OpenAI account. The chat model here operates using two primary variable placeholders. The system message, here we will call it a meta prompt, defines how we want the model to behave. Now, this here acts as a guideline for the model's response structure and tone. And we also have the instructions. So we will call it the query, which represents the user's input, which the model processes to generate a response. Now let's define system message and instructions by using this. So we will use multi-line string here. Let's paste it. Or let's write it. So you are an AI assistant that helps humans by generating tutorials given a text. So here, and also let's see, yeah, also what we will do, you will, as I said, it has to be precise. Like AI has to understand what we want. You will be provided with a text if the text contains any kind of instructions on how to proceed with something. Generate a tutorial in a bullet list. Otherwise, inform the user that the text does not contain any instructions. Here, we can also say that we are giving it a personality here. And here in the instruction part, we will write, let's say, to prepare the known sauce from Genova, Italy. You can start by toasting the pine nuts to then coarsely chop them in a kitchen mortar together with basil and garlic. And here then add half of the oil in the kitchen mortar and season with salt and pepper. Finally, transfer the pesto to a bowl and stir in the grated parmesan cheese. Yeah, that's basically it. And now let's test the model here. So we have written everything we need to know here. API key, test the API key if there's a variable defined, print API key, set system message instructions. Yeah, now let's initialize the OpenAI client with the API key. So let's name it client, OpenAI here, and API key. As a parameter. Now we are here, we are creating a client instance with a authentication. Basically, we are giving it our API key, and here we have the client has our API key. And here we will send a request to the chat model, response client.chat.completions create here, and let's model. So here we will use GPT-4o. This is actually OpenAI ChatGPT models. So So you can so you need to enter the specify the model to use, but you need to ensure the compatibility here. And here you can see the model names here, models, yeah, pricing. Here GPT-4o for GPT-4o audio. Yeah, there's the model names you can use. In this case, we will use the GPT-4o. And we will also define the messages here. Now, as you remember, I said the role first message we write is system message. So basically, are giving it a personality. So let's say system, and content is gonna be system message. So here we are defining the system message for behavior guidance, and here, so not also write this here, and role user content. Here we will give it instruction. So here we are giving or providing user input containing the test instructions. And now we will need to extract the, here let's say, okay. So here we will print, to extract and print AI generated response, print response dot choices. We will print the first message content. So here we are telling to output the generated tutorial or feedback. And as we do with our every code example, we will explain it, everything of each line. So here, this client, OpenAI key, API key. So this creates an instance of the OpenAI class, passing the API key as a parameter for authentication. This client chat completions create calls a create method from the chat completions, sending a request to the GPT-4o model with the defined messages here. And we also have the model GPT-4o specifies the model to be used. This ensures the latest, most capable model is selected for processing. We have the messages here. So this is a list that defines the conversation flow by including predefined system instructions and user input. Role, system, content, system message. This is a dictionary. This in Python is a dictionary that defines how the AI should behave during the conversation. But in this case, the OpenAI model required the dictionary model, so this makes pretty sense. And the role user content, this is a dictionary, again, dictionary type of model containing user input text, which acts as the query for the AI model. And the response choices, 0 message content. This here extracts the first message from the response object and prints the model's output. Now, by structuring the prompt and processing the response this way, we ensure that AI assistant follows the intended workflow while accurately extracting and formatting instructions from the input text. Now let's save this code and run it. Here, yeah, main.py. So Python main.py. API key is set. And here we are. And yeah, after running the script, the model processed the provided instructions and returned this following structured output. So how did we get this output? So the first we had, remember, the model processing the system message. Here, the system message defined how the model should behave. So as I said, it kind of gives it a personality. Then it instructed the model to extract the procedural steps and return them as a bullet point tutorial. Then our model has interpreting the user instructions. The user here, user instructions. The user here, user provided instructions described how to prepare a specific sauce. Now, the model identified key action words and sequential steps. And here the model converted these instructions into bullet list. Yeah, it should be here. Yeah, here. Generate a tutorial in a bullet list. Now, so it omitted necessary details here and focused on a core actionable steps. And the final response followed by the format requested in the system message. So by structuring our prompt effectively, we ensured that the AI assistant followed the intended workflow and extracted clear, actionable steps from the given text. So by giving clear instructions, you can help the model to understand what you want it to do and how you want it to do. This can improve the quality and relevance of the model's output and reduce the need for the further revisions or corrections. However, sometimes there are scenarios where clarity isn't enough. So we might need to infer the way of thinking of our LLM to make it more robust with the respect to its task. In the next section, we are going to examine one of these techniques, which will be very useful in the case of accomplishing complex tasks. I'm Typhoon, thank you for watching, and I'm waiting you in the next lecture.